Anyway, sorry, did you do an intro already?
No. The intro has been me trying to set this part up.
Okay, so as we all know, when you begin a new podcast, as you were doing, one has to have like a catchy opening, whatever. But you do have a name for the podcast, and that's thing one. Because as I've discovered, every other Jew has a podcast, and they've already taken all the names. So, mazel tov to you on coming up with an original name for your podcast that has not as yet been taken.
I didn't come up with the name. When I did the old live streams, my audience came up with the name. And it was just because one day on stream, I was like, I'm really hungry and I have a pound of peas in my freezer. I'm just gonna boil the whole thing before the stream and eat it as a snack. And then my audience was like, "That's your podcast name."
Then, bam, it's up to your audience, and I salute you guys.
Yeah.
Well done, because it has been impossible to find the name of a podcast that hasn't been taken already. So, props to you guys. So, welcome. Thank you for having me on Peas Over Parsha. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's the name of the podcast. I probably should have said that at some point.
Despite the fact that I do have a cold, I appreciate you seeing me virtually. But I wouldn't miss it because we're going to be talking about some Torah. And what else would I be doing with my time that's any better? Who needs sleep when you can talk about Torah?
You also just talked about Torah for work anyway, so this isn't that different.
This is just a day in my life. Okay, so we can just read it, or would you like to read it? And how would you like to do this? And then we can share some thoughts.
We can
take. I have many.
Yeah, we can take turns.
Okay, so this is going to be like a mini little chavruta.
I think so. Also,
a mini learning session in which Daniel disappears. And I talk to you alone about.
I have to get my chumash.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's bringing out a physical copy.
Yeah, because if I have to alt-tab constantly to talk to you and read, I'm going to get a migraine.
Okay, that's fair. I have my computer set up a little bit beyond this, beyond the foreground that is my phone. So in the background is Safaria. And then I have several other Safaria tabs pulled up, so I'll definitely get lost periodically.
Okay. I am now on chapter 1. Also, if you're on Safaria, you're probably using the JPS. So this is the art scroll, the stone edition.
Okay.
Yeah.
They can duel.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to begin?
Sure.
Okay.
Something about being polite to the guests in the house.
Oh, no, whatever you prefer.
No, you go first.
You can go first if you'd like.
No, you can go first.
Okay, so here it is, the opening sentence, maybe the most famous opening sentence of a novel, not a book ever written. But it's not the typical translation, perhaps, that other people have. I expected to bring out a snack for consistency. Right, where are your peas? Over Parsha, hello.
All right, fine.
People have good questions.
I'll get my peas.
Okay. Please hold while he gets the peas after which this podcast is allegedly.
I love my peas.
I think he's lost them now. He's looking. I can hear the rustling. Okay. He's giving the people what they want. It's so true. Okay.
Okay. I didn't cook them first, so we're just having them frozen.
I'm not going to judge, even though I know my eyebrows did, and I apologize for their behavior. They did react thusly, and that was very rude of them, and I apologize. Okay, as he chews the frozen peas, are you in New England? We thought you saw a few days when I was running. To whom are you speaking?
We have different comment sections, I think, because I'm not seeing these ones.
Do we?
Yeah.
What? Well, that's annoying. How are we supposed to respond to everybody? Okay, well, I have one that says, it was me. You saw me while you were running. Thank you, Steph. Thank you. I do. Okay, I have my own comment section. Okay. Where did you see me allegedly when you were running?
Oh.
I just need to know where my doppelganger must have appeared. Okay. Yes, I do live in the Boston area. We both do.
I think my camera decided to crap out.
Hold on. Sorry?
Hold on.
Okay. I don't know where you would have seen me, but I do exist in the Boston area. It's true. So I will begin the first sentence of Genesis, aka Breishit, which goes, when God began to create heaven and earth, the earth being unformed and void, with darkness over the surface of the deep, and a wind from God sweeping over the water, M dash, this was not written by ChatGPT, but M dash, God said, let there be light, and there was light. And interrupt me anytime you want to go over some of this. Anytime.
Decided to crap out, so we are on my webcam now.
Oh. He's having technical difficulties.
A little bit,
okay,
yeah.
So let there be light to light your camera, is what God said.
I'm so confused. The microphone on the camera is working. But the camera is just... The microphone on the camera is working, but the camera's not.
Well, I can still see you. So as long as you have one camera and an audio and a microphone, I think technically it works. Okay. So God saw the light was good, and God separated light from the darkness. And God called the light day and called the darkness night. And there was evening and morning, a first day.
Yeah.
That was a lot to get done in one day.
Yeah, I really like how the days come before the sun.
Yes, this is like theoretical light comes before actual light. Now, I also know that there are some theories that this was the time when the angel of death was created, when darkness was created. I don't know if I necessarily hold with that, but I do think it's a very interesting idea. A very interesting topic. Okay, so there was, before the creation of the sun, moon, and stars, you're right, evening and morning of first day. God said, let there be an expanse. Also, have you read the books The Expanse? Have we talked about this? Have you seen the show The Expanse? Okay, that's great. Never mind. In the midst...
No, I really like how at this part it says the etymology for the Hebrew words for sky is just water, but then with a thing on the front.
With a thing on the front. Hold on. Oh, yes. Yes.
Because it says that he splits the... Basically, there's one big ocean, and then it gets split in half.
Water. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's the same thing. Same basic material, same difference. They're both blue. Obviously the same. God made the expanse, and it separated the water. Okay, so the expanse separated the upper water from the lower water, which was below the expanse from the water that was above the expanse. And it was so. God called the expanse sky. And there was evening and there was morning, a second day. Here's a great comment from somebody. With the creation of the first thing, it would make sense the angel of death would be created to end it. Interesting. Although I don't think anything was technically alive at that point to end, but I still like that idea. And I'm not exactly sure where the exact source is for what day the angel of death was created on. I believe it might be in one of the Howard Schwartz anthologies that it's referenced that it was the first day, or when darkness was created. But I think there's, rather unshockingly, debate and discussion about whether that's factual or where he may have originated from. Okay.
Eating the peas is difficult multitasking.
Yeah. Okay, so God has now named the expanse sky. There was evening and morning a second day. God said, let the water below the sky be gathered into one area that the dry land may appear. And it was so. So the dry land did already exist. It was just underneath the water. Nobody could see it or make any good use of it whatsoever. It was kind of pointless.
But then, wait,
so let's dry that out.
So then, if the dry land existed, but it was under all of the water, then when he splits it in half, where does the dry land, like, does he have to move some of the water down and some of the water up?
Like, it's like, it's like 1/4, okay, it's like up to here, this line, 1/4 land, 3/4 water. So like God is just like, let's just take this chunk, divide this, and then this part remains though. So that part was always there.
Okay, so the bottom water is there.
Oh, let's dry out some of it. I know I'm saying he. I actually don't want to say he when I talk about God. And God is like, let's dry out some of this. So God took and created the first like industrial strength hairdryer, dried out some land, raised it up a little bit, looked a lot better, way more things that one could do with it. So God called the dry land earth and called the gathering of waters seas. And God saw that this was pretty good. I like the idea of God going, I like this arrangement. I like how this looks. Yeah. There are so many myths about the idea that this was not the first world God had created.
There's a lot of Kabbalah stuff about that.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on about that. So maybe this was like a 15th draft. And God had figured out some things that God had wanted, so the iterations are happening.
Yeah.
Okay. So then God said, let the earth sprout vegetation, seed-bearing plants, fruit trees of every kind on earth that bear fruit with the seed in it. And it was so. The earth brought forth vegetation, seed-bearing plants of every kind, trees of every kind bearing fruit with seeds in it. And God saw that this was good. And it was evening and it was morning, a third day. So productive. See, people don't need a 5-day work week.
I think the art scroll makes a little bit more of an emphasis that all of the things that get created have to reproduce with themselves. Like that they all have to reproduce together with each other.
Because they have seeds.
Yeah, it says.
Hence the mention of seeds.
Yeah, it's here. It's the word in Hebrew is lemino, which is basically of its kind. And so the art scroll keeps repeating that word over and over again in the English, or that phrase in the English. It says it after each category. Like the fruit are of its kind, the trees are of its kind, the grass is of its kind. The biblical Hebrew also really likes to have a bunch of different words for grass.
That makes sense. There are so many different types.
Yeah.
Crabgrass, cannabis, just so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so a third day has transpired.
Only crabgrass isn't kosher. Cannabis is fine, but crabgrass has crabs in it, obviously.
Not literally. I don't think you can make that argument because you can have kosher pigs in a blanket because no actual pigs are involved.
Yeah, but if I tell somebody that I'm eating crabgrass and they don't know that it doesn't have crabs in it, then they'll believe me. And then they'll think I broke kosher.
I'm trying to think about this from a halachic perspective, from a legal perspective. You might have to say, I'm eating crabgrass, but don't worry, there's no crabs in it. Just to really clarify for anyone who might be, it's like when you're having an Impossible Burger or something and there's cheese on it, you have to say, this isn't real. This is fake. Just know I'm not actually eating milk and meat together. Don't get it twisted. It's a fake burger. Okay, so now God, even though God has previously already created light and darkness, let's snazz it up. Let's snazz it up a little bit. God said, let there be lights in the expanse of the sky to separate day from night. Yeah, good idea. They shall serve as signs for set times, the days and the years. So now God has invented time. Even though we just saw God as like, we've been experiencing days. Technically, were they days? Because none of the things that we use to tell time, aka sun, stars, whatever, moon, had been invented yet. So it could have just been not 24 hours, some other God time.
Yeah. As a math person, I also think it's fun.
As a math person, had I known that, I wouldn't be on this podcast.
I also think it's fun that time is made on day 4. Because in physics, that's dimension number 4. And
that's interesting. Yes.
On day one, God makes the idea of a discrete point because things exist. On day 2, God makes the idea of a continuous point because you can separate stuff out and see space between them.
In the comments, well, Hashem has nothing but time on his hands. Mm-hmm. That is technically true.
I wonder
what else was God doing at that point.
I wonder what time looks like to God. Because it's like, we can't see it, but God probably can.
Right. This might be one of those mysteries that Elijah will have to answer. There's the belief that all the unanswered questions will be answered by Elijah during the Messianic era. And basically the sages are always like, oh God, can't figure out this one. We're just going to ask Elijah whenever he gets here. So we could just put a pin in that and say, when Elijah gets here, let's ask about how does time work from the perspective of Hashem?
Oh, so does that mean that on Passover, when we leave the cup out for Elijah, we're just looking for an extra charuta?
So what's fascinating about that is I had been under the impression that every single Jewish community, no matter where in the diaspora they might find themselves, that they all have the tradition that Elijah shows up on Pesach to have that Elijah's, labeled cup of wine, his personal mug. But that's actually not true. Not every Jewish community has that tradition, which I thought was very, very fascinating. Yes. Yes. It's more like the thought is he will be at every bris. Personally, if I were he, I would say I would prefer to be at every Seder. But again, that's just my opinion.
I'm also doing a horrible job of replying to my own comments.
Well, do better. Reply to the people. They have kindly showed up at 1:30.
Yeah. Do I have Polish roots? Yes. The guy has a very Slavic sounding name, so I'm guessing he's from Poland. Ladies first is correct. And the other person has an Arctic family and likes that the sun comes up later then.
What?
The last person, the most recent comment, is, I like that the sun is later as somebody whose family is Arctic. Haha.
Oh, yeah. That's very interesting. Okay. There was a very kind person asking how Cincinnati was. It was actually really great. I can't take over this episode with talking about that, but it was really lovely. Okay, and somebody else is asking, which is better food, a Seder or a bris? Yo, I have not attended a bris in a long-ass time, and I have no intent to ever do so again.
Both of those do have a chair for Elijah.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the tradition that I think has more continuity across different Jewish groups around the world. The tradition that Elijah is at a bris. Not everybody has the thing where Elijah is at a Seder. And this was news to me. So it just goes to show that while we do have through lines of belief about Elijah and where he shows up across the diaspora, it's not always the same, depending on what tradition you may herald from. Okay, so where are we at? Right, God just invented the sun and the moon. God made the two great lights. This does always make me think of Tolkien. I can't ever not. But God made the two great. If you've read the Silmarillion, you know what I mean. The greater light to dominate the day and the lesser light to dominate the night and the stars. And God set them in the expanse of the sky to shine upon the earth, to dominate the day and night and separate light from darkness. And God saw that this was good. And there was evening and morning, a fourth day. Okay. Things are shaping up pretty nicely in the cosmic build of everything.
Yeah, we haven't come along yet, so things are still fine.
Right. Things are fine. We haven't been invented yet. All is good. Now God is going to be like, let's create some living creatures. Let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures and birds that fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky. I always think that's really interesting, the phrasing, let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures. That's right. There is this belief I don't know if it's related to this, but there is this belief that is expressed in the Talmud, because they just didn't have microscopes back in the day, that there's certain types of creatures that sort of self-create out of nothing. For example, lice. They're just like, those are self-perpetuating organisms.
Yeah, they hadn't figured out things.
They just appear. So I'm like, this makes me think of that. The water's just going to bring forth swarms of living creatures.
This is also allegedly how the original primordial soup worked, where the life just kind of spontaneously formed because there was lightning and a bunch of rocks.
It crawled out of the waters, became a frog. Yeah, became one giant frog.
I'm saying the first single-celled organisms.
Yeah.
Just kind of happened by accident because there were rocks floating around.
Petri dish.
Yeah.
The cosmic petri dish. Yes. Okay, so now God is going to have some fun. God created the great sea monsters. God's like, what does this world lack? Massive, giant fucking squid. Let's make that. It's not even, I don't think this even is referring to the Leviathan or mythic, like the giant mythic sea monsters. I wouldn't say the term monsters because that's rude. Leviathan is actually God's pet, and it's really, really fascinating, their whole relationship.
I think
this is just referring to massive blue wet. Yes. Oh my God. There's a whole thing. Did you say you didn't know that? Because I would like to recommend a book for anybody who wants to read more about. It's called God's Monsters. Vengeful Spirits, Deadly Angels, Hybrid Creatures, and the Divine Hitmen of the Bible by Esther J. Hamori, and she has got a whole section talking about the Leviathan. But there was a section of the Talmud where they talk about how does God spend God's day, and it's broken down pretty much like one would schedule your day-to-day activities. There's the time for listening to people complain about stuff, and the time for being merciful to people, and then God needs to sort of de-stress. So God plays tennis ball with Leviathan for a chunk of time. That's legit on God's schedule, and I love that. So Leviathan, it's just a large puppy.
Grandpa Tiktaalik crawled on this day. I don't know what Tiktaalik is, but I'm guessing it's a nerd reference.
Wait, where are you looking?
My comments. You can't see it.
Oh. I thought you were looking somewhere. I'm like, wait, what are we looking for?
I think it is true that we each have our own individual lives.
Yeah, no, we do. And it's not as helpful because I would love to be able to see and respond, but I know that maybe the technology hasn't been done yet. I'm not sure.
Apparently,
I haven't been alive since during COVID.
Yeah, apparently Tiktaalik is the specific paleo fish that crawled onto land, according to Bees ?
According to Bees?
that's the username of the person.
Oh, okay. I was like, the bees have spoken to you? How are you hearing okay.
Well, the bees have also spoken to me. I don't know. I don't know why, but bees and wasps really like me specifically. During the fall, they're just all they just swarm around me in numbers much larger than most other people see.
This brings up a whole host of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Is that person Jewish, and how is their Sukkot experience?
Mm-hmm.
Is it
my Sukkot experience
infested by bees?
My Sukkot experience involved teaching a Chabad rabbi and other people there the difference between a bee and a wasp, because we saw both and they couldn't tell the difference.
Is that what the commentator is saying?
No, the commentator's name is Bees ? I just attract a lot of bees and wasps for some reason.
Okay, this is so confusing. Okay, so Mr. or whomever, friend B, who's in your comments, did not comment about that they attract a lot of bees and wasps. You personally did it.
According to friend Bees in the comment section, they have been converting for the last 2 years. So congrats, Bees.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. I still am puzzled by why bees like you.
They just really do.
You should be studied.
I've also never been stung once in my entire life.
They think you're one of them.
I don't know.
This is fascinating. Okay, do you know any... were you brought forth in a swarm by any chance from the waters?
No.
But are you a bee in a human suit?
Not to the best of my knowledge.
He laughed in a way that indicated that yes, he is. He laughed in a way that signals that that is exactly what's happening here.
Have you ever heard
a swarm of bees in a human body?
Have you ever heard a bee laugh? I don't think so. I don't think you've ever heard a bee laugh, so you can't tell.
I think I just did. Okay. Although I would say that actually that's more akin to a dolphin laughing in some ways, which I would do if I wasn't. I could do my impression of a dolphin laughing if I wasn't currently very congested. But I always think about dolphin laughter during the Parsha Noah, which is the next Parsha after this.
We're about to get to
They
dolphins.
were the ones being like, huh?
In the Parsha, we're about to get to the dolphins.
Yes, but I think about how like everyone's scrambling to get on the ark. Everyone's fucked except the dolphins are like, sucks to be you, bitches. Like that is the dolphin energy that they bring to the table. I have.
That's also dolphins. Just the general energy that dolphins bring to the table.
They're not good people.
Dolphins are the frat boys of the ocean.
Yes, precisely. Well said. That is exactly true. Okay. So God created the great sea monsters and the less great sea monsters and all the living creatures of every kind that creep, which I wish that God hadn't done that, but you know.
Leviathan, not a sea monster. Dolphins, sea monsters.
Right. Yes. And which the waters brought forth in swarms and all the winged birds of every kind. And God saw that this was good. God blessed them and said, be fertile and increase, fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. Because of overfishing.
I am also a huge bird fan. I love birds. When I see them, they make me happy, and that's how I measure the quality of the day. How many birds I saw.
I judge it by how many corgis I saw. Like, did I see dogs that day? If I see a corgi, especially, I know it's going to be a good day. It's an auspicious omen for luck. But I guess birds are fine.
Look, one time, it was a Shabbat. And my parents were away, but a tree fell down in our backyard, so there were some landscapers clearing it out. And I wanted to stick around because they were using a chainsaw, and I'd never seen that before. And in the trees behind my parents' house, which is where I am right now, there was a hawk flying around from branch to branch. And I had never seen a hawk like that before, and that was sick.
I live quite close to an Audubon refuge, I guess. And there's a heron that flies over our house every day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon, like he's going to work. Like this is his commute. And it's really lovely. There's also a woodpecker that is trying to make a hole directly across the wall from where my bed is, and I would very much like it to stop, but okay. Comment, dolphins and humans are also technically fish in the same sense that birds are dinosaurs. Don't know if you can evolve out of a. Friend, I'm not sure if that's.
I disagree.
I don't think I am a fish.
Also, bees said that you have a great dolphin impression.
To be compared to a dolphin, even though I do make an impression of them, I am offended to be compared to those monsters of the sea. What did you call them? The frat boys of the sea?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish I could say that quote was original, but I can't remember where it was from.
It's apt. It's apt. Okay, so God said, let the earth bring forth every kind of living creature, cattle, creeping things, and wild beasts of every kind. And it was so. Was this where God made dogs?
Probably.
Wild beasts, and then they saw our couches, and then they became unwild beasts. God made wild beasts of every kind and cattle of every kind and all kinds of creeping things of the earth. Wish God hadn't. And God saw that it was good. God saw, now let's fuck it all up. God said, let us make humankind in our image after our likeness. Yeah. They should rule the fish of the sea. That's always been my dream, rule the fish of the sea. The birds of the sky. Yeah. The birds of the sky, the cattle, the whole earth, and all the creeping things that creep on earth. We don't actually rule the earthworms.
Yeah. The earthworms are really cool. They are pretty much the oldest thing.
Firm disagree.
Look, worms.
Hard pass.
Worms are the oldest, pretty much the oldest type of animal, and they're the prototype for all of the other ones. And 80% of all individual organisms in the world are some kind of worm.
Okay, that's too many.
The animal ones. We're not counting. Yeah,
that's too many worms. Yeah. And also, I really just don't respect the way that when it's raining, they decide to come out of the earth, crawl onto the sidewalks, and die there. You know, like before humanity invented cement, what did you guys do? You just drowned in the earth, right? So why don't you just stick to that? Don't come up and die here where I'm trying to walk, and now I can't because you're all okay.
Okay, I now definitively know the answer to this question. You would not still love me if I was a worm.
I would not. No. Sorry. I'm just gotta speak my truth. And the truth is no. Not even like a Paul Atreides turning into a massive worm. Sorry, spoiler alert for his son. In Dune.
Oh, I only read the first one, and I'm not reading the other ones.
Okay, spoiler alert. You can turn into a massive worm in Dune. I don't recommend it, personally. And you can live for thousands and thousands of years. Sorry to anyone who hasn't read Dune. Okay, so God is now going to fuck up. God says, let's make humankind in our image, after our likeness. They're going to rule all over all of us. And God created humankind in the divine image, creating it in the image of God, created them male and female. And this is where we have to say to people, it was like one entity, not two, one entity in this first telling, one entity that later God hacksaws apart to make them into two.
Depending on which interpretation you want.
Depending on which interpretation. Either there's hacksawing or there's a rib removal.
Yeah.
Neither are great.
And also, there may or may not be a mother of all demons or something.
Oh, I can talk to you about that when we get to that part. Oh, I can talk about that. It depends when you want me to talk about that.
Whatever you want.
Okay, so we're sort of putting. Okay, let me just tell you the 3 real housewives of the Garden of Eden. So first, you do need a hacksaw to get to them. That's true. That's true. Yes, Raven. You either need to hacksaw them directly in half if you go according to the idea that both were created in one entity, sort of together. And you also need a saw, or maybe just a scalpel for rib removal. I'm not a doctor. Please ask a doctor about what you might need in order to do that. Okay, so here's the thing about the wives of the first human male, either after the sawing has happened or the scalpel has happened. So Adam is, look, I'm just going to say, he's an idiot. And God, we're going to get to this point, but God is like, oh, he looks so lonely. He's so lonely. It's such a lonely creature that I have created. Let's make another one, right? Creates the first Eve, Chava Rishona. The problem is, and I have videos about this, if anybody who's watching, I have a series of videos called Jewish Law Reactions where I retell this, but in the first Eve, essentially God decides to construct the first Eve Westworld style. So skeleton, intestines, skin, bone, muscle, like all of it gets like put onto her. She's constructed like this, but Adam is watching the whole time. And Adam is so squeamish and he's like, and he can't tolerate it. So he's like, I can't have sex with that. I don't want to see that every day. So he basically asked God to unmake her, even though God had just made him his own human woman to get married to. He's like, no thanks. No, I don't want that. Right?
And this is the origin of men not wanting to know how women work.
Right. They don't want to know. It fucks with their brains. And so this is the first body shaming. He basically body shames her out of existence.
I say this as somebody whose first ever video that hit over 1 million views was me drawing a hand-drawn diagram of the female anatomy and explaining how it worked. As a teenager, I was like, if I ever want to like make a wife happy, I should probably learn how the parts work. So I did.
Adam did not have that level of foresight. He wasn't good at anything. His only job was naming the animals. He wasn't really good at that either. That's all he had going for him. So, second wife is Lilith. So he's like, I'm returning for Chava Rishonah, first Eve. He's like, God, I'm sorry, I want to return this. Yes, Raven says the problem is that Adam just didn't know how hard it would become to find someone suitable to marry. True, except God kept making him wives, right? So he goes to God, he's like, I just want one that I don't have to know how their like intestines work, and I just want her to be super hot. Like literally, there's a midrash. He's like, I just want one that'll satisfy me all night. Shut the fuck up, Adam. Is what I'd like to say. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, God's like, okay, and God makes a true hottie, skin on. Adam does not see the construction this time, and Adam's like, oh my God, love it so much, love it, love it, love it. Just one thing. And this is Lilith. So they start talking, and it turns out that while she is stunning and he would like to be with her, she's not really into the idea that he's going to be in charge, because she's like, you're made of dirt. Yo, you're made of dirt. What makes you think you're better than me? You dumb fucker. And he's like, well, I'm going to be in charge because I'm the man. Like, he's the proto alpha bro. He's like, I'm the man. I'm just going to be in charge, and I need to be on top during sex because I don't have any imagination. And she's like, hold that thought. I'm out. Bye. She says the name of God, which is like this all-powerful incantation, fucking bounces out of the Garden of Eden. Bye, bitch, she says to Adam. And so, like, this is a really powerful thing. She's able to pronounce and use the word of God, the name of God, in order to escape from the Garden of Eden, because she's like, I'm not sticking around for this guy. What a loser. And she's right. So she leaves, and it's only because Adam goes to complain to God, and he's like, she left. She didn't want to hang out with me. Like, why would she, right? So God sends 3 angel hitmen after her, and they catch up with her over the Red Sea, and they have this whole standoff where they're like, if you come back now to live this horrible trad wife life, everything will be fine.
There's no trad wife when there have been no other wives to set the tradition.
The OG trad wife. You'll be setting the standard for trad wives in future. And otherwise, the way this is going to go is you will have every day you'll give birth to children, and every day they'll die. And then everyone's going to think that you're coming into their homes and killing their babies.
Oh no!
And she says, you know what? I actually choose that. I choose that option over staying married to Adam and having him rule over my body and mind and soul for the rest of the time, because I don't feel like being controlled by a man.
Hearing Adam, like Adom, when you said Adam, it was funny.
Oh, Adam. He wishes. That's such a great point. He wishes. But he does not have it in him. Like, that's what he wants to be. He wants to be Adam, D-O-M. But he just does not have the capacity. So then, that's when Eve, who we think of when we see the text, is created in the sequence of wives. The one who, the whole story that we know from this text comes to be. Who also deserve better than Adam. But after Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve break up after the fall from Eden, they get kicked out, they evicted from Eden. Spoiler alert, they became evicted from Gan Eden. There's a story that they separate for a while because she leaves his bitch ass, because he's like, she made me eat from the tree of knowledge. And she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You did that knowingly. I also
really like how in the story, with the fruit, the only character in the story who doesn't lie is the snake.
The snake.
That includes God.
Look, the snake's not a liar. The snake did speak factually. Adam is a liar.
The snake just has autism and couldn't read the root. Okay.
Although Chava's not lying either. She gets lied too, but she doesn't lie. She says, God's like, why did you do this? And she's like, well.
She says,
snake said.
No, she said the snake tricked me. The snake didn't trick her.
The snake does trick her.
No, the snake just tells the truth.
No, well, it depends if we're going to additional sourcing or just staying status quo, like Torah, unless you want to introduce other teachings. Because
according to the text, the snake doesn't trick her.
Well, here's the thing. In this text, God never tells Chava, Eve, do not eat from the tree of knowledge. You will die.
Yeah, Adam is supposed to tell her that.
But Adam adds something. Adam says, don't touch it. So in the additional midrashim, the snake touches the tree. Nothing happens because nothing was going to happen because Adam was a fucking liar. And Eve is like, okay, I'm looking at Eve, the first woman in STEM, is looking at this and she's studying.
Is the STEM part of the fruit?
Yes. She's studying. She's like, okay, I see that nothing actually has happened. The snake has touched it. Nothing has happened to the snake. It says, we're supposed to die if we touch it, but that's not what has transpired here. So Adam must have lied to me about this. This may not be I may not be getting the whole picture here. She never hears directly from God. This is all hearsay to her. Adam knows better, but she was created after this point. So she has been led astray. She went along with what the snake said, but it's not like she was like, and now I'm going to sneakily bring it to my husband and make him eat it. He doesn't know what it is going to be. And then I'm going to trap him. No, he's there the whole time.
I also really like how in the text it says that she judges the tree as good before she eats from it when she doesn't have the ability yet because she hasn't eaten from it.
I think you could still say, aesthetically, this is a beautiful tree.
Yeah, that's what it says. It says that she says it's good to eat. It looks tasty.
Yeah. Well, this is what I'm saying. I think that if you, in the Midrash and just as ourselves reading it, we kind of get the sense that Eve is an inquisitive person, more inquisitive than Adam, frankly. And she's observing it and she's like, okay, I could see how these, so there's two super special trees. There's the tree of knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. And they're in the center, just, being the Silmarillion. That's where they are. And so she can see and be like, I think she's trying to make observations. And she hears from the snake and she looks at it and she's putting two and two together and she's thinking oh yeah, I could see this is it's a beautiful tree. The fruit smells like it's good to eat. I don't see a problem here. That snake didn't die. Let's try it out. She's doing a test. The test subject is herself.
The way that I interpret the tree is that because it says that we were made in God's image, and so when it says that, I read that as us inheriting God's qualities in many ways from the beginning. And so I read the tree not as us literally inheriting the ability to tell between right and wrong, but the act of checking to see if God told the truth or not is inheriting the ability. The act of looking at the tree and judging it is getting that ability in the first place.
God does in fact lie. I know we're getting off script, but
there was no
that's
script.
Actually what happens. God does lie. God says on the day that you're going to eat from it, you're going to die. You're going to be dead. And instead, what happens is they don't die the very moment that they eat from it. That does not happen.
Yeah.
What happens is they lose their immortality, and later, they have to leave the garden and become mortal human beings.
They weren't even they weren't even immortal yet because they hadn't eaten from that tree yet.
Well, the tree of so the way it works is that there's that saying that's later on in the same Parsha that now that they have eaten from the tree of knowledge, if then they go and eat from the tree of life, then they will regain. They'll be like God status, not just. Then they will be just like God,
which is what the snake says.
Right, snake, not a liar. Snake never lied. But anyway, yeah, that's the three wives of Adam, who deserved absolutely no wives. So, but the interesting thing is that the myths, the legends of Chava Rishonah, the first Eve, and Lilith do overlap in some ways, which is why a lot of folks only believe that Lilith was the first wife, and then there was Eve, whereas there are actually three fairly distinct characters that sometimes get, there's an amalgamation there, but really the way I broke them out and how I tell the story is that there are three, because they each have slightly separate myths surrounding them. But we haven't gotten to any of that yet.
We basically just covered all of it verbally.
We basically just covered all of it. Right. We're in charge of the fish, the sea, and the birds in the sky, blah, 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 and in charge of plants. And and that was the 6th day. And then the heaven and earth were finished. Yay. And on the 7th day, God finished the work that had been undertaken. God ceased on the 7th day from doing any of the work. But I do want to say one thing. I always have to bring this up, like legally. Not legally. But I feel like I always have to mention that there's a series, according to the Mishnah, there's a series of things that were created right before Shabbat, that first Shabbat, right before God's like, okay, I did a good job. Done. Taking a rest. There are 10 things that were created. 10 things created on the eve of the Sabbath at twilight. Do you know? I'm sure you do have some knowledge of what some of them might be.
The only time I've ever heard anybody say this is one of your videos on it, so I don't remember the list.
Great, it's me. Okay. So there's some variation, right? There's some theories because, of course, the first is the mouth of the earth. The mouth of the well, the mouth of the earth being the entrance to Gehenna, hell, the pit. Second, the mouth of the well, that's Miriam's well. Third, the mouth of the speaking donkey. Fourth, the rainbow. 5, manna. 6, the staff of Moses. 7, the magical shamir worm. 8, the letters. 9, the writing. 10, are the tablets. And some say, because again, this is not the list. This is like a variable list. Some say also demons. So it wasn't that Eve is it wasn't that Lilith is the mother of all demons. She is the mother of a lot of demons because like hundreds of her children die every single day. And so she has to keep giving birth to demons, which is actually really sad. But God also invented demons. One of the last things that God created was demons, the grave of Moses, the ram of Abraham, and most importantly, my favorite, tongs.
Like
tongs made with tongs, because of course God is like, what are they going to need? What is humanity really going to need? Tongs. How are they going to make anything?
When you have to pick things up.
How are they going to pick things up? How are eyelash curlers, hair straighteners? God, we know, loves barbecue because every korbanot, every one of the sacrifices is pretty much a burnt animal. So that God is like, this is a great smell. How you can't flip a burger without tongs.
Speaking of utensils created to serve God, butter knives and chopsticks were created for the same reason, which is that this is a history thing. It just happened in 2 different places where you had this general issue that the same knives that people would use to stab each other, they would use to cut their food.
I don't recommend that.
Yeah. So in Europe, it was some bishop or whatever. He made butter knives, basically, so that people wouldn't be stabbing each other with the same knives that they used to cut their food. But then I think it was Confucius or one of his disciples who basically said, "What if we just get rid of the whole knife thing and we just use chopsticks instead?" Yeah.
That's fine. I would say that I hold the same thing for my knives. I have a knife collection. So some of them I would use to open Amazon boxes, and some of them I wouldn't. They're just for people. So I think it's important to differentiate your knives and make sure that you're just keeping them for the right purpose. You can obviously use them to open an Amazon box or a person in a pinch, but generally speaking, you want to keep these things separate.
Yeah, and we can learn from Abba Sikra in the fall of the Second Temple that you were never supposed to use the knives to stab dead people, including if they're alive.
No. Yes. you can make them dead, but don't stab them after death. That's just rude. It's just rude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the story of how God created tongs. Yeah. Frankly,
the fabric scissors do have to be separate from the scissors you use to stab people. You're right.
So true, right? It's just being practical. It's being practical. It's keeping things. It's like no cross-contamination. I think it's very wise that God invented that. That was the best invention that God invented before God took a break for Shabbat.
Tongs?
Yeah, no question. If you ran down this list of things God invented, I would be like, tongs, yes. Worms, no. What the heck? Get rid of that. We don't need any of those. You don't need worms. I don't care. You're going to tell me, well, on an ecological level, we do. I don't think we do. I think God could have fixed that.
I think that the dirt wouldn't work without the worms.
I'm sorry, could not God have thought of that and made different dirt when God was creating things?
Well, I don't know.
Ask you.
I don't know. Is it God's job to come down to our level and do what we want, or is it our job to recognize that God has standards above what we can comprehend?
No, I don't think I have to comprehend the earthworm. The only type of worm that I do appreciate wasn't one that was created in that list, although at the time it wasn't thought of as a worm. The shamir was later come to be understood as a worm. That's the only type that I'll allow.
What is the shamir?
Okay, let me tell you. So, wait, do you actually not know?
No, I don't know what this is. I just don't know what this is.
So, do you know that when God was like, hey, build me a temple in Jerusalem, but you can't make it with any materials that you would build, that you would use a weapon of war for, right? Like, so you can't make it out of iron or metal or something like that. You can't use that to cut any of the materials you need to make the temple. Instead, so the story, okay, no, we're going off script again.
There is no script.
The script being the Torah, Solomon is like, shit, I gotta get the shamir then. He doesn't know where it is. This story comes from Tractate Gittin, page 68. So he's like, I gotta figure out who has the shamir, who has this magical thing that can cut through stone, like cut through any material. Basically, it's the diamond cutter of magical antiquity. So he tortures a couple of demons. He's not a great guy. He waterboards some demons to find out who knows where it is. And they say, Ashmedai, king of the demons. He knows where it is. So he goes and abducts Ashmedai, king of the demons, who is minding his own damn business, because Ashmedai spends all of this time learning Torah in heaven, learning Torah on earth, and being in charge of even numbers. That's his, basically, he's busy. Okay?
So our demons live in heaven and they do math?
Yeah. Demons are not evil in the Jewish sort of mythology. It's humans are shit. Angels can be terrifying and monstrous. And demons can also be terrifying and monstrous, but they can also be, like, great. Yeah. So, I know, somebody's like, expecting to stay on script while discussing religious theory. Okay, that's a fair point. That is an absolute fair
also,
point.
Look, allegedly, all of the wisdom in the world is in the Torah, so you can just say anything and it's in there.
Right, absolutely. Totally. Yes, that's exactly it. Okay. Solomon sends his hench person, Benyahu, to basically roofie Ashmedai and drag him back to Jerusalem, which he does. He chains Ashmedai using the holy name of God, which is the same thing that Lilith said when she pieced out of the Garden of Eden, because it's a powerful magical incantation. And since Ashmedai works for God, because all demons work for God, they don't work for the devil, they work for God. And angels work in heaven, and angels work in both heaven and hell, and so do demons. It's not like it's more diverse than perhaps some mythologies have this. So Solomon asks him, and Ashmedai's like, Ashmedai cannot stand Solomon, rightly so, judges him, rightly, for being kind of a drunk with like a really bad image problem and self-control problems. So he finds out where the shamir is. Ashmedai's like, I don't have the shamir. The angel minister of the sea gave it to his friend who is a rooster. Long story short, they get look, it's funny, but what happens is Benyahu goes to try to get the shamir back from the rooster, who's using it to crack open the nest where his children are, and Benyahu steals the shamir. The rooster feels so bad about not being able to return it to the angel minister of the sea that the rooster unalives itself. So it's all fun and games until it gets serious and the birds are suffering. So anyway, now that Solomon has the shamir, Solomon uses it to construct the temple in Jerusalem. That's what cuts all the stone. Yeah. So, but he won't let Ashmedai go. Even though Ashmedai is not like he's not paid on this project. He's not even a consultant. Solomon just wants to be like frenemy besties with him. And Ashmedai really doesn't, until one day, Solomon's like, well, what makes
this sounds like
better? He already had way too many wives. Solomon, way too many, 700 wives, 300 concubines. That's too many. That is too fucking many.
Yeah, and apparently none of them could satisfy his love of even numbers.
Well, no, it's Ashmedai who has the even numbers.
Yeah.
Ashmedai's in charge.
Yeah, that's why Solomon's trapping Ashmedai, because he can't talk about even numbers with any of his wives, because he doesn't teach any of them to do math.
Right, well, yeah. So then Solomon's like, what makes you special? And Ashmedai's like, well, if you just give me your magic ring and take these chains off me, I could demonstrate that, and, like, would we fall for this? No. But Solomon does, which is why I don't believe the hype about him being the wisest king who ever lived, because he was not. He was not. He gives him the ring, takes off the chains. Ashmedai drop kicks him like fucking into the sun, 400 whatever parasangs away from Jerusalem, and then usurps his identity, shape-shifting into Solomon. Mm-hmm. And Solomon has to go around and be like, no, it's me, I'm Solomon, really, no. And then Daniel's face throughout all this has been such a delight. and then no one believes that he's Solomon, because Solomon already is still on the throne because it's Ashmedai. Eventually, they do find out that it is Ashmedai. How do they find out? Because the wives are like, it's, the weirdest thing. Solomon only fucks with socks on now because demons have chicken feet. So obviously, he started to go see his wives, who were like, something's a little off. Maybe we like you better in some ways, but why are you wearing socks to bed all the time? That's a little weird. That's how they figure out it's not Solomon. So Solomon regains his throne. But the Talmud actually gives you a choose-your-own adventure ending to the story, which is one reason I absolutely love it. First, they say Solomon totally regained his throne and, kicked Ashmedai out, and that was one version. Second version, no, he didn't. Solomon never reclaimed his throne. And it's been Ashmedai all along. And that's the reason that Solomon is wise, not because it's Solomon, because it's Ashmedai. Yes, thank you. Socks to bed are a deal breaker. Just check what's on. Are there chicken feet under the socks? I just want to make sure that you just check this. Unless you're willing to date a demon, in which case, and when I frankly am. So
look, I would go a step further that socks in any capacity are a deal breaker. I don't care.
Socks and sandals.
Look.
Socks at all?
I hate socks so much because the way that they pinch my ankles makes my back hurt, and I don't like it.
Have you tried different socks?
I just don't like any of them.
I think they should pinch. I don't have socks that pinch, and this concerns me. Yes, it is. It is like Agatha all along. That's exactly what I said.
That's what popped into my head too.
Well spotted. Okay, so that is the story of the Shamir, which is a magic worm that cuts through incredibly difficult materials, and without which Solomon could have never built the temple.
Now, we've gotten through the majority of the peas.
Okay, so he's eaten the majority of the peas.
Yeah, it's like a 1 pound.
So does that mean the episode's over?
No, it's like a 1 pound bag of peas. I haven't finished the peas yet.
Is it? What's a serving of peas?
2/3 of a cup. They don't have a lot of calories.
I'm not worried about that. I just have questions. Okay. Should we continue with the Parsha, or would you like to? I realize I've been doing 90% of the talking.
Yeah, but I've been very entertained. It's great.
Yes, I see how this works now. I have been bamboozled into doing 90%, even though I have a cold, doing 90% of the talk. And I think I have a fever. I have been rambling. I have been doing hallucination conversations. I don't even know if you're here about Ashmedai. Ashmedai, Solomon, the Shamir, the tongs, and you just
personally, I think it's really fun to have another content creator, and then to just basically get to see the content I want in real time by asking them questions. I think it's great.
These are my favorite. Okay. Somebody said, make Daniel repeat it back to me so you know he was paying attention. Okay. He's doing his dolphin laugh. I don't think he's paid attention.
Look, I've been doing my best to pay attention while eating the peas.
What have you learned about demons? Tell me some things you learned.
I've learned that Ashmedai, king of the demons, he likes to spend time in heaven studying Torah, and he likes math. Which basically means that he's like my best friend, because my best friend just wants to go back and do a PhD and study Torah all day. Like, that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
While doing, like, he wants to do a math PhD.
Great.
Yeah. So.
He's also a really great dad, but that goes into.
Yeah. And then I remember that Solomon hunted down Ashmedai, and then Ashmedai said, "No, I don't have it. My friend, who is an angel, you said the Lord of the Sea, like the ocean."
The angel minister of the sea.
Okay, the sea, but the sea like the ocean.
The angel minister of the sea.
Okay, the angel minister of the sea, the angel that is in charge of the ocean.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I understood. So the angel in charge of the ocean has a worm, but then he lent the worm to a chicken, a rooster specifically.
Well, it's not his worm. He was sort of like the guardian for said worm, and then he gave it to a rooster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Ashmedai had to go track down the rooster and then get the worm. And then Solomon,
I will say,
and then Solomon locked up Ashmedai using a magic circle or something.
Using the name of God.
Yeah, and then Ashmedai was stuck talking to Solomon, which was boring. And then Ashmedai,
which was the worst.
Yeah, and then Ashmedai tricked Solomon and stole Solomon's identity. And then Ashmedai wore socks all the time because he had chicken feet. And then the concubines were like, "Why is he wearing socks all the time?" And then the Talmud gives you the option to believe, possibly, that Solomon was never very wise and that Ashmedai wrote Ecclesiastes.
Bingo. Well done.
Yeah.
You did great. You actually did really, really great. But the thing is, like, demons are associated with even, to go to your point about the even numbers, demons are associated with even numbers, which to call back to our earlier note about the Seder, there's a whole conversation in the Talmud, a whole discussion of the 4 cups. You're supposed, and 4 is an even number, I regret to inform everybody. So they're like, maybe it's 1 and 1 and 1 and 1, or maybe we add the other one for Elijah to offset this so we have 5.
Yeah.
Even numbers are dangerous. And also they're not great for like art. But
in class,
so even numbers are what Ashmedai's in charge of. And he's also in charge of the mountains of darkness, where that's the demon realm. Hell is not the demon realm.
They just got the mountains where the lights are not on.
But actually, it's kind of a fabulous place to be. There's a story, another one I made a video about it, where this truly trash young man.
I think I remember this one. He goes and he has a demon wife or something, right?
It's Ashmedai's daughter, who she named Ufrut, who should really be more. You should really, not you. This guy should have respected her more because he did not treat her well. No, not at all. But yeah. So it's actually, he's got a nice palace. He's got everything going for them. But yeah, the human being is the villain of that story. It's not the demons who are the villain. It's the human man who's the villain. That tracks.
Yeah. I do my best to not be the villain, unless I'm specifically being asked to, in which case it's pretty fun.
Which is different. That's fine.
Yeah.
That was a request. No, but this guy is like an example of what not to do. So I think it's like, and the funny thing is, this story is 1,000 years old. The one about Ashmedai's daughter is 1,000 years old. Don't worry, she gets her revenge on this trash human man,
as the woman usually does eventually.
Well, the crazy thing is that he makes her an aguna, a chained woman who can't leave the marriage because he won't divorce her. She takes him to court, to Jewish court. She wins, but they can't force him to do anything, so she kills him. Which is, I just love this for her, and for me, and for us. But the message is basically, who is the real villain of the story? It's not the demon princess. It is the human man who refuses to respect the autonomy of a human woman. Of a demon woman. So even, like, the idea is, she's a demon, yes, but the real monster is him. And the fact that even today, the aguna crisis is like a real thing.
Yeah, it happened to my aunt in Israel.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Is she free now?
Sort of. It's a really bad situation because there was a property dispute. So there, technically divorced, but also still neighbors because they live on the same property is really weird.
This makes me so angry. And one of the reasons, look, I'm just going to say one of the reasons one of the reasons why I would never live in Israel is because I can't live someplace where religion has control over marriage and divorce. And the way it works in Israel is that there is no civil marriage and divorce.
Yeah.
You can get
every single religion has their own courts.
Right, your religious whatever. So if you're Jewish, you do a Jewish marriage and divorce. If you're Christian, same thing with Christianity. Islam, same thing. You go to a Muslim court for that, and everybody has their own system as it applies to marriage and divorce. But this also affects things like child support and custody, and it's terrifying. So I would not live a place, as a person who has divorced myself and got my Jewish divorce here in America and went through that whole process, I would not live a place where I do not have the option of civil separation from an abusive partner, for example. Yeah.
I think that...
I'm really sorry your aunt went through that, is going through that.
Yeah.
Stuck in that situation.
The divorce proceedings and the aftermath have defined that side of the family for most of my lifetime. Like, I have a cousin I don't really talk to anymore because of some of the stuff that happened.
It's really terrible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's fucked up shit.
It is what it is.
And that's why we need a squad of golems to handle this. Alas, I don't have one of those. But if I did, you know exactly what I would do with them.
Well, have you tried making golems yet?
Adam's actually, fun fact, the first golem.
Oh, because he's made out of rocks.
He's made out of dirt. He's made out of, and God's like, oops, first golem is the first golem girl gang. Yes, exactly. Adam is the first golem, and there's actually a really funny line from...
I forgot to respond to a comment again. Before, Bees said...
What's the comment?
Bees said they promised other people that they would be on their worst behavior, and they promised, so they have to do it.
Okay. Well, I respect bees. I just don't like worms. I respect bees. I fear them and I respect them. So this is Tractate Sanhedrin, and they're talking about Adam, the first man. His torso was fashioned with dust from Babylonia. His head was dust from Eretz Israel. His limbs from, they describe where each bit of dirt comes from. And then they're like, and his ass comes from the dust taken from Accra Digama on the outskirts of Babylonia. So they found this like terrible location that they're like, yeah, that's where they got his ass dust
from. Is
Babylonia
is Babylonia?
Like, why do you love the Talmud? That's why I love the Talmud.
Is Babylonia where Peor is from?
Baal-Peor?
Yeah.
I don't think this is related to Baal-Peor.
Because Baal-Peor is the poop guy.
Baal-Peor happens in Eretz Israel too, though. It's not just a Babylonia thing.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, it is an Eretz Israel pagan deity. But I do think it's funny that they found like a neighborhood they don't like, and they're like, yeah, and all the shitty parts of Adam come from there.
Yeah, the rabbis, the passive aggressive shade from the rabbis is hysterical.
They're so passive aggressive, and I love them so much for that. I love them so much for that. They've taught me so much about many things, but about being petty is one of the finest things I've learned from them. Yeah.
I think the Jewish people have been good at crafting insults since time immemorial.
Oh, where's my book? You know this book, I hope. Talmudic Insults and Curses?
No.
If you don't, get it. Because I like to respond to trolls. Modern trolls, ancient disses. So I like to respond with an insult or clapback from the Talmud to modern people who hate me. And I find it very satisfying. It's a way to learn and a way to troll your trolls. So please do check out this book, Talmudic Insults and Curses by Arthur E. Helft. This is the expanded edition for when you really have to tell some people to go fuck themselves.
Yeah. I have generally learned as a creator that I would rather block the trolls than interact with them, because if I talk to them, then that means they show up again.
I know, but my problem is, actually, it's usually not in my own comment section that I do this. It's usually in other people's comment sections.
Okay.
Like, if there's a creator that I like, or I'm friends with, or I respect, and I see someone being a douche in the comment section to them, I might have a problem. I know, don't feed. I know, you're right. You're right.
It's not just that they show up again, like they can show up on your videos. It's also, if you interact with them, the algorithm learns that you are like them, and then you see the same content that they do, and you show up on the same videos again.
But I just want them to know that their teacher was a reed cutter in the swamp. How am I supposed to tell them that if I don't?
But you can just
actually.
You can do, if you do it passive aggressively.
I do know that I should feed them.
Yeah.
I know I shouldn't feed them.
If you describe the type of person, they can put together the stuff on their own. Or if you describe the type of person who's a reed cutter in a swamp, then they can learn from the description and apply it to themselves if they have any self-awareness.
My favorite thing to do is when a man, it's always a man, says something on my videos like, women aren't supposed to study Talmud, blah, 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 blah. I always use the line from Bruria, a woman in the Talmud, who's like, do you know the story? The foolish Galilean story?
No.
Okay.
Oh wait, Bruria. No wait. Isn't this is the one that Rashi does dirty, right?
So it's actually not really Rashi does it. It's a fake Rashi inserted into the Rashi. This is a longer conversation, but it's actually not a real Rashi. It's a real fake Rashi.
I'm fairly certain I saw this video too.
She actually did nothing wrong, and she's maligned for centuries and upon centuries because of this fake commentary that's added to the Rashi. So don't trust your Rashi. Like, to get it looked at before you trust any Rashi. That's all I'm saying. So Bruria, who is like one of the top scholars, she learns 300 halachot, 300 laws in a single afternoon, and even like Rabbi Yochanan, the great Rabbi Yochanan, is like, to some guy who wants to live, he's like, you are no Bruria, get the fuck out of here, you can't do what she does. And Yochanan is like a very difficult person to impress. So
Yochanan's is a pretty one, right?
He's the hottest rabbi he's the hottest person, sorry, my bad. Hottest person. He's the OG hot rabbi. Yeah.
I remember he had a student who was a bandit, and also that Rabbi Yochanan's ding dong gets compared to somebody else's in units of volume.
So this is Bava Metzia 84 is where this happens. And yes, the first thing that happens is a dick measuring contest. Second thing that happens is you learn the tragic love story of Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan. Reish Lakish being a former gladiator who comes across Rabbi Yochanan bathing in the Jordan River and is like, damn. And they do become study partners, and I think very clearly are deeply in love with each other because they have a falling out, and Reish Lakish dies of kind of like a broken heart, and then Rabbi Yochanan goes crazy and goes mad because of the loss of Reish Lakish, and he too dies, and it's really actually tragic and sad. But for the longest, they were not roommates. They were not roommates. No, anybody who says that. I know you're not really saying that, but anyone who says that they were just friends is no, I'm sorry. There is no way you just die because your friend passed away and you didn't get a chance to apologize to them for the thing that you said to them that broke their heart. I'm sorry. No. These were two people who were deeply in love with each other, and it's deeply tragic. But yeah, Yochanan was the hottest man who ever lived, and what he used to do was hang out outside of the mikvah, the ritual bath, so that women who were emerging from the mikvah, who then would go home to have sex with their husbands, could see someone hot before they had sex with their husbands, because who knows what their husbands look like, so that their children would then be good looking, like Yochanan. So he was really doing everyone a solid there.
I also remember the passage where it talks about, where it basically says like kinks are okay, is preceded immediately by a guy who goes through and describes every single type of immorality that the parents would do that would give a child a disability, and then he talks about it for like 4 pages, and then the rabbis just say, everything he said is wrong, do whatever you want. And then
it's Yochanan who says that too.
Yeah, okay.
It's Yochanan who's like, fuck that shit. Yeah, I love Yochanan. Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan, they're both problematic faiths. They're not, they got their issues, but I love them so much nonetheless. But sorry, to get back to the Bruria incident, not the Bruria incident, this Bruria incident. So she's walking along the road, minding her own business, like a woman will do. And she's got shit to do, right? She's got errands to run. She's got a tour to learn. She's got to outflex all the men. But she's just doing her, doing her shit. And Rabbi Yossi HaGalilee, who was the sage who famously did not think that chicken was meat because he loved his chicken parm. So he's like, I'm not going to roll with that, actually. I think I'm going to just keep eating chicken with dairy. It's fine.
I'm not going to lie. I agree. I think that chicken without any dairy or something really fatty with it tastes disgusting.
You are a disciple of Rabbi Yossi HaGalilee. So he comes up to Bruria, and he's like, hey, so, like, which way are we going on the way to Lod? It's way, like, he tries to talk to her about it. And she's like, I don't have time for this shit. And she says to him, foolish Galilean, didn't the sages say, speak less to women? You could have just said, which to load. Like, basically, she wants him to shut the fuck up and get out of her face. So anytime a man comes into my comment section and says, women aren't supposed to study Talmud, I say, foolish Galilean, don't the sages say, speak less to women? And what can they say? Because that's true. So why are they here speaking to me? So yes, this is just a fun way to weaponize Talmud for your own benefit if you're a woman.
Yeah, but right now, I've spent, like, an hour and a half listening to you talk.
No. Foolish Galilean. It's okay. because clearly she doesn't believe that. She's just saying it as a way to get out of talking to this guy. And don't we all need a way to get out of talking to that guy that you don't want to talk to? And she just gave us a really meta way to do it.
Yeah. Usually my way of doing it is to just not talk to them anymore and leave.
And that's fine, but had she done that, we wouldn't have this amazing record to utilize in our own lives. So I do appreciate her taking the time to just, like, eviscerate him a little bit so that we could, benefit from her wisdom.
I simultaneously take genuine pleasure in embarrassing people, but also I feel really, really bad when I do it. So I only want to do it when people say it's okay.
This is also an important Jewish value. You're not actually supposed to, as you know, you're not supposed to embarrass people.
Or showing her raw back.
Yeah. You're not supposed to embarrass people unless the specific times when you are supposed to embarrass them as a form of social stigma for their behavior, which they should be embarrassed about. So it really depends. But usually it's considered, not literally, but in some ways akin to schmurder. Not really, because you don't actually get the death penalty for it, but you're not supposed to.
Yeah, depending on the circumstances, it can get pretty close. Like if you embarrass somebody at work and they get fired for it, then that can get pretty close.
Did this happen? What did they do?
No, like
if you're embarrassing, but you're telling like HR what someone did, I'd say it depends what they did. Because if it's something that they needed to get fired for, I don't think you did wrong necessarily. Like if other people, if they're doing behaviors that endanger other people or make other people deeply uncomfortable, that's a different topic. Because you also have to protect the community. You have to. It's like you have to balance which of these things you want to do, or which the moment requires.
I am now very nearly out of peas.
Okay.
The peas at the bottom have melted.
Me to take more cold medication at this point. Thank you for having me on this first episode of Your Guest Talks and You Eat Peas. That's not the name of it.
I think having a 1 pound bag of peas be the timer is hysterical.
I will have the bag of peas and you have to do all the talking.
Okay, but if you have a 1 pound bag of frozen peas and you have to eat them unthawed.
That's what I'm gonna do. We didn't get to. Let me see what. Okay, we got up to Genesis 2. That's how far we got.
It's okay.
Which is not very far.
We covered basically everything in Genesis except for the part where it talks about demigods.
Oh, that's a fun part. Well, we didn't get, there's some stuff we didn't get to, but that's okay. You can always do a second look. One is never going to get everything from learning a Jewish text in the first go round. That's just not physically possible, and that's okay. That's why we do everything cyclically. So I wouldn't worry about it. It'll still be here for episode 2 of He's Over Parsha.
Yeah.
Where you do the rest of this one Parsha, and it takes 14 episodes.
Well, to be fair, this is this is one of the most interesting ones.
Oh, I mean, it's so good, and it has so much of the surrounding midrash and storytelling. Multiple creation myths exist within this one story and evolve from this story, and it's a great Parsha. It's a great Parsha, and I mean, it gives so much material for the rabbinic storytellers to work from, and for frankly anybody to work from. But it's got so much material. They did good. They did good on this one.
I think that's a great.
There's some Parshas that I'm just like, no thanks. But this is a good one.
Yeah,
when we get to like Deuteronomy and Leviticus, I'm just like, I don't care. Did I say that publicly? I just don't. It doesn't have the storytelling oomph that I'm really looking for.
Yeah, I kind of know what you mean. It's kind of hard to pay attention when they're describing, like, here is the exact hue of the painting of a tiger on the wall of the tabernacle.
I mean, when we get to all the sacrifices, I'm just like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to. But that's part of the learning is you learn the fun stuff and also the stuff that you don't think is that fun. This is how the Parsha crumbles.
The peas crumble.
Exactly. Okay, well, do we have final words for this episode?
This was really fun, and I want to do it again.
Sure. I would be delighted to completely go on more tangents. This is the traditional way of learning anything Jewish. You start one place and you end up someplace completely different.
Yeah.
Because that's how it goes.
I can do more talking next time, but then I probably need to figure out a system to consume the peas and talk.
Well, you could try a smaller bag. You could measure out 1 cup. Like 1 cup per Parsha.
Okay,
think about that.
I can. I also do not like, when I open the thing, I don't like breaking it up into bits and then storing it again. So my portion size is, my comment just said pea straw.
I understand your conflict here, but you could in fact buy smaller bags, and then you wouldn't have to do that. That's just a thought. It's just a thought. Maybe it can help.
A lesson
but I'm sure you'll solve this.
A lesson in pea moderation.
Yes, but not pea moderation. Peas moderation. I'm signing off to go take more Dayquil, and God divided between day and NyQuil. Thank you so much for having me on He's Over Parsha.
Bye.
Bye.